Hello.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound, the Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome along to what literally is the final Wycombe Wanderers show of the season, following last week's, what was going to be the final Wycombe Wanderers show of the season.
Yes, we promise that this is the last one.
Definitely. And very much looking forward to it as well. We don't have, obviously, a match to look back on, but we do have lots to look forward to.
Indeed. So we will be hearing the in-depth interview that I did with Gareth Ainsworth, where he talks about this season, looks ahead to the future, and also reveals a little bit about the players that he's looking to sign over the summer.
Lots to look forward to in that respect. I'm very much looking forward to hearing it, and great to have the opportunity and the time with him as well. Plus, also, before the end of the show, we'll look back at some of the lighter-hearted moments. Have you got a favourite? I think I know what you're going to say.
All I can think about is that there were quite a lot of lawnmowers going off during the various interviews that we did. That it seems to be a running thing, particularly in the second half of the season. I didn't really notice it in the first half.
No, because I guess you don't cut the grass quite as much in the winter, do you?
Maybe that's what it is. But definitely, there were a few. Huddersfield in particular. Cardiff, where as soon as the full-time whistle blew, the lawnmowers started up.
Welcome to the horticultural version of the Wycombe Wanderers show, where each week we look at cutting the grass in different seasons.
Yes, we're not doing Wycombe Wanderers show next week, but we might come back with a gardening show. You never know.
So this week, without further ado, as I say, we're featuring a fantastic extended interview with the Wycombe Wanderers manager, speaking to Bob.
How was it for you, the championship season?
Interesting, a real learning curve, if I have to say. Getting there, I'll go right back to Wembley, and me and Richard Dobson saying, what have we done? Like we'd done something wrong, it was unbelievable. We even at Wembley, we didn't expect to get promoted. It's Wycombe Wanderers. To be in the championship when there wasn't much football being played, only the playoffs, was just phenomenal. But yeah, we had a quick turnaround that summer. We had to get players in quickly. I remember the targets we had, and Uchi and Tafazoli and Daryl Horgan, three of the big ones that came in. So plus starting this B team that Rob wanted to get going, and so it was a chaotic summer. We didn't really have much of a break, and straight into it with the first game. But unfortunately, we'd picked up a few injuries by then, because what happens at Wycombe is we train that intensely, and our training ground's different, and our training ground, the surfaces are different. We bring Uchi down from Scotland, who hasn't really had much game time up there. We brought Tafazoli in, and both of them really picked early injuries up, which I look back now and say cost us, definitely, because they were two of my star signings. But we went into that first game, Brentford Cup first, obviously, and then Rotherham at home. And then for the next 7, we didn't win, and that was a worrying time. We thought, is it that big a deal? This is and obviously eventually we found out it wasn't. But it was just getting grips to it, getting used to it, getting used to the playing and the formation systems that other managers were playing, the quality of players, and knowing that mistakes in either box were going to cost you, and so that was a real baptism of fire, that first 7 games. But after that, it was actually double, wasn't it? He got the first win. I got the point against Watford and went in hospital. The point was important. That first point was important, just to get off the mark. I remember should have been 3. Obviously, JJ bent a corner in, and the referee didn't give that. And for the life of me, still we don't know why. But Ben Foster being man of the match, that day probably was the day where I thought, you know what, this isn't too big. This isn't too big a step. We can compete at this level. And as I said, double obliged with a couple of wins after that.
I mean, those games against Watford and the game before that against Norwich were both so impressive, just considering that these were sides that had come down from the Premier League. And as you say, particularly against Watford, we should have beaten them. And against Norwich, definitely you deserved a draw. Possibly you should have won if Norwich had their player sent off in the first half.
and there are ifs and buts. And I know every manager's going to look back at the season and go ifs and buts, and we had that decision and that decision. I'd like to count the decisions, and I think we'll be way on top on that. I remember speaking to Daniel Farker after the Norwich game, and he said when they went to the Premier League last year, they had a very similar circumstance of the little club didn't seem to get the rub of the green. Now, I'd love a university study to be put on this, because I really do believe that there is something in this. I think that the referees are only human, and there's no way it's intentional, but I think a subliminal, unconscious sort of, this is the new team coming up. They don't know how it works yet, or we know this manager, we know this team, and all these things will come into it in some factor, and there'll be a formula somewhere in the world where you can work this out. But we didn't seem to get the rub of the green. The Watford game, the Norwich game, the free kick at the end there seemed very unjust. But we did get off the mark, and we started winning, and we knew that points were there for us. I think that was big. That was the first goal. Obviously, it was big. Scotty Cashgate against Millwall, but the first point, that was big for us. And then the first win was huge for us. I moved from a hospital bed, but it was a turning point then that we knew what we had. We still didn't have Uchi back. We still didn't have Taff back. Taff has only picked up a major injury in the Swansea game at home, second game of the season. Really tried to play through some real bad ankle ligament damage and damaged it further. But that was the mark of the man. And
let's just talk about you as well for a sec, because again, you've already said a few things that have been quite eye-opening for me, because I completely believe everything that you ever say. And so for a start, interesting that you were saying about the first 7 games and that you were worried, because definitely you weren't, clearly, of course you weren't saying that to the media. And also the fact that you were saying it was a bit of a surprise actually to get promoted. When you were then having the back injury and the back operation, it was very much sort of said to us that actually all routine, it's all fine. How actually ill were you?
It was a pretty major operation. I'd always struggled with my back in the latter years of my career, and I didn't just have a disc that had a slip disc, they call it, a prolapse disc or whatever. Mine had actually properly collapsed out of my spine and was pressing on the nerves. I lost control of my lower half of my body. I was paralysed from the waist down, which was a real serious condition. I remember it gradually coming on. Crazily, I did it at the training ground on the day of the Watford game. I went in, I felt absolutely brilliant, as I always have done. And I sprinted up the stairs at the training ground, which is something I've always done. I've always done it, got up the stairs really quick. And, this energy that it comes out in a physical aspect as much as the mental one. And I felt a pop in the back, and it was a real major pop. Something had collapsed, and obviously further scans and everything proved that my disc had collapsed in what's called your L5, I think. And it was that bad that it went right onto the nerves and trapped all the nerves totally. And so paralysed from the waist down, couldn't go to the toilet. You lost control of them functions, which wasn't.
I mean, it would be terrifying for anyone, but for an ex-footballer who's also a rock star, it must have been really terrifying.
I'm sure a few rock stars have gone through it more than footballers, but lying on the living room floor at home, waiting for the ambulance. I'll always remember, the kids upset. And it was a tough night. That was a real tough night. And if anyone's ever had a catheter as well, they'll know that was probably the worst pain that there is. There's no denying that. But thankfully, great surgeons got me in and operated the morning after, and it was just pure relief. It was honestly, and I will never take anything for granted. You don't take your health for granted. Anyone with back pain listening, please go and get it checked out, because you don't want to be in the situation I was in. The NHS deserve all the claps and everything for COVID, but I've got another special reason to clap them as well. So yeah, it was tough. And especially we haven't won a game in the Championship either by then, so that was still preying on my mind. But your health does come first, and as I always say, there's more important things than football. That was definitely one of them.
And then Dobbo and the team sorted that out.
Yeah, they did, and it was great. I remember ringing Dobbo on the morning of the game, and we're talking through the team. And obviously, I was still having a big input in selection, but I couldn't manage it as in play, as you call it. Dobbo was down to him then. And I remember ringing Josh Hart on the day of the game, so the game's playing, and I remember ringing Josh, and Josh is in the gantry filming the game, as he always is, and I said, I won't name who, but one of the lads was looking tired, and I said, tell Dobbo, get him off, I think he's looking a bit tired. I think he, as we were talking on the phone, Josh said he's already doing it. So that shows how much me and Dobbo are in sync, and I can trust him, and it's really important. But what's equally as important is Dobbo wanted me back more than anything. He's not one of these who goes, oh, it's my turn, I'll take the job and I'll show everyone what I can do. And Sod Gareth, he was, Gaffer, that's for you, get back here as soon as you can, we miss you, and everyone was saying your energy, the place is flat without that energy, and it was and it's really important that we have these relationships around the place. Dobbo was fantastic, and I couldn't ask for a better number two, believe me. I'd be search high and low and not find a better number two. But not just him, Waitsy, Josh, Keane, we've been together for so long, we're properly in sync. So it's times like that where you really realise how everyone cares about it and looks after it. And even the Cougs, only known him a year really, and ringing up, really concerned and ordering me not to come back too early. And Rob, again, health is more important than anything. So just shows that the right decision was made with these people taking over this club, because they're really good people, hearts right in the right place, know what's important, but winners and want the best for the football club as well.
We then had a bit of a lean spell up until Christmas, and then we had the wonderful win against Cardiff, and then the win over Preston as well.
And for me, that's when it started. And coincidentally, I think Uchi and Taff started that game together. The first one they'd started together. We signed them in August or July even, and the first time they both started a game together was Cardiff at home on the 27th of December, I think. So it was really tough to be without two of your big signings, and it proved that we'd made the right choice. And I never believe I've made a few mistakes, but I'm hoping that it's 10-1 in favour of good signings since my management here, and them two definitely have been fantastic. And I think that was the start. We were turning teams over: Cardiff, Preston, then in the FA Cup, fantastic run, and that just gave us more sort of confidence to go into the games, and yeah, we started picking up points here and there, and started looking above us rather than thinking, right, we're dead and buried, we're miles away. I think we're 11 points at one stage, but we started looking above us, going, who can we catch, what can we catch, where's that line? And that was great timing for me as well, because I always said that if you start bad but end good, it's much better than starting well and ending really bad, because there's problems if you're ending really bad. You had something and you've lost it. We've never done that at Wycombe. We always learn, and we always have this Zen spirit. I've done team talks on Zen Warriors before about learning and how we can adapt and learn all the time, and there's never failure. It's always learning. And that was proved correct, and I was really proud of the boys, the way we finished the season. But I think it did start around that. Just after Christmas there into the new year, we felt a shift in, right, this is Wycombe's team now. Whether the lads thought with nothing to lose, whatever it was, we were going to be better, and we were better that second half of the season. And
then for 85 minutes as well, you held Premier League Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, I mean, I remember walking the dog the day the draw was made, and this is genuine. The radio, can you believe it? With all this brilliant 4G and 5G now hanging around, my radio I was listening to went off when Wycombe Wanderers came out of the hat. So I didn't know whether we were home or away. I didn't know who we'd got, and my dad rang me and said, well, at least you've got them at home this time. And I was, who have we got at home? And he went, Tottenham. Did you not know? And he always loves having one up on me, my dad. I usually know everything. If a manager gets sacked or something happens in the game, I always get a text from my dad, but it's usually about 3 hours after I've found out. I always find out first because I'm in the game. But this one moment, he was very proud that he'd known before me that we got Tottenham at home, and he couldn't wait to tell me. And that was great, the press around that, people looking back at that game. And it wasn't the one we had at White Hart Lane, the last team to score 3 goals at White Hart Lane, the away team, and it was great to look back and be a bit nostalgic on that and be proud of that day, because rather than it be a revenge thing, I thought, let's look back at this game. What a fantastic day that was. We were League 2, were we then? Yeah, and that, I mean, incredible what we did, and again, incredible seeing Uchi bully Alderweireld for so many minutes, and Darius coming on and playing a part in what would be his final season for us because of obviously the age and the injuries he's carrying. But just moments like that at home, that game, I just wish the fans had been there, for these occasions, because John D. Taylor and Alan Hutchinson, two people who take real big pride in the Ex-Players Association. They always bring these games up and these games gone by. And I don't want this season to be forgotten in any way just because the fans weren't there. I'm sure they won't let it, but it just felt all season like something was missing, and they seriously were. But you never know. We'll get back at this level one day and they'll all be here. But yeah, great night against Tottenham, and Mourinho had to put his big guns on. That's my story anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's true. You then went to Huddersfield, and again, that was another incredible game. Yeah,
and we have these, people say to me that teams only have these games once every 3 or 4 years. Wycombe seem to get 5 or 6 a year at these. It's incredible. I remember MK Dons at home, Southend at home in the promotion season, the Beanie Carlisle thing. We can go back and have these magic moments. Michael Smith's going, is it Paris, I think, against Doncaster with 10 men and things like that. So we seem to get 5 or 6 of these a season. It's brilliant. And Huddersfield was definitely one of them. We were 2-0 down. I remember looking over and some of the staff had their heads in their hands, because that would have been a huge gap to fill. But we'd come up the night before, we'd had a quiz in the hotel. We made all the players feel brilliant about themselves, because all the quiz questions were about them and what they'd achieved in their past careers. And one of the big moments for me that night was Curtis Thompson got a question about which player said that his favourite stadium ever to play at was Juventus, and it was Curtis Thompson, because he was at Notts County, and obviously Notts County and Juventus have this relationship. So Curtis had played there And I think Jack Grimmer's question was, who made their debut for Mark McGee? And that was it. That was his question. So he said, I can't believe it. I just get a question about who made my debut for Mark McGee. Curtis Thompson gets linked with Juventus. He said, so it was a bit of a laugh and that. And it was a good atmosphere that night, you know, and I think that carried over the next day. And I don't think if we'd have not had that quiz and that little team bonding exercise on the Friday night, I don't think we'd have come back into that game. You know, I really don't. I think it all counts, and so that's another memory of something we did, and all the tactics you do sometimes, and all the work on the training pitch. It's those little moments when the boys are together that count, and that was a nice moment to come back into that game. And I remember that journey home, and the boys still laughing about the quiz questions, but had taken the 3 points from a struggling Huddersfield team.
And then 2 fantastic home wins, one against Reading and one against your old team, Blackburn.
Yeah, big wins. Obviously, I live over in Wokingham, so all you get in Wokingham is Reading kits. You get the odd QPR kit, which I'm more known for in Wokingham than being the Wycombe manager. I always say that my kids go to school over there because nobody really cares too much about how Wycombe are doing, and win, lose or draw, my boy and my girls can go to school without getting any stick, any major stick. And if they'd go to school in Wycombe, it'd be right if we're winning, but if we're losing, I'd worry for them, you know. But over there's plenty of Reading fans, and my boy Kane, he shares a classroom with a lot of Reading fans. So again, for him to be able to walk in with his head held high is a big moment for me, you know, and me as well around the town. You know, Reading, ex-Premier League side, big side. They were in the playoffs at the time, and I thought we played that game fantastically well, really well. I mean, you know, missed penalties and drama again that fans have all missed, but that was a fantastic result just because I live over that way, and it helps. But the next one obviously was Blackburn, and I remember that was after a 2-week break, and I'd always wanted to have a little tweak of a formation and just commit some more attacking bodies. I thought we needed to do that towards the end of the season, and that was the game where we started doing that as well. And so we'd had 2 weeks to work on a new system and a new formation. I won't go into detail, obviously, like no manager will, but we definitely saw a new lease of life in the boys, and a willingness and an excitement to try this system out. And yeah, taking ex-Premier League winners to defeat was brilliant. It was, even though it's my hometown, but again, little things for me. Mum and Dad still live in Blackburn, and obviously full of Blackburn fans up there, and then walking around the town, obviously being able to say, you know what, we didn't do too bad. You know, he's gone there and he's not done bad for himself as Gareth. So all these things, because they've always been there for me, it was nice to give back a little bit. But that really did start us on this run then of this form that, you know, I think culminated in, was it the last 9 games of the season we were the fourth form team in the league, you know. So these little moments I'll always remember and learn from. And like I said, just coming 1 point short has been a phenomenal achievement. But yeah, we did go on a little run after that Blackburn game. I was very proud of.
Yeah, then a big relegation game against Rotherham, and we won 3-0 away.
Yeah, and that probably, if there is any payback in this league, it was for that first game of the season, because I believe that was very close, very tight draw. I remember the video meeting after that game and how we were all fresh coming, you know, first game of the season, and we were saying to picking the bones out of that corner that went in. So to go up there and perform like we did, I thought we really played well that day. And again, it was more evidence that what we'd done and how we tweaked things slightly, we were starting to come together. And yeah, fantastic result, and really did start believing we could start catching these teams above us and maybe, just maybe, get to this dotted line that everyone's talking about.
And then a tall draw with Swansea, which again was very impressive considering where they are.
Yeah, playoff team, you know, and I'm still gutted we let Swansea back into the game. Jason McCarthy slipped and put his hand down, and as he's put his hand down, the ball's hit it. And these things seem to, you know, it wasn't a tackle, it wasn't an intentional thing, it was just a real stroke of luck from Swansea to get that penalty. And Addy going up the other side, the other end, fantastic goal to score, and then just a chance right at the death just to nick it, and he gets a nudge in the back that nobody sees. And it's just these things that I'll always go back to. But you know, a great result away there, and obviously we went back the week later, and the Cardiff game wasn't great, but in between all that was the Bristol game as well, which was another one of these moments that we'll cherish forever. And I know there's one man who, I don't care how big he is and how much of a personality he's got, I know that goal meant all the world to him, and Adebayo Akinfenwa getting a championship goal again. A moment that we'll never forget, and we'll never underestimate what this club does for people.
Yeah, I mean, that was incredible. Then 1-0 against Bournemouth, which again was just amazing.
I forget about these games sometimes. It all went to a blow at the end there. And my big memory about that one is Rob Couhig was here and at the end of the game came over to me and I said, I owe you that, Rob, because you haven't seen us win for a while. I think he came to Doncaster the last game of last season in the league, and it was a defeat. I think that was the last time he was over until this season, and he hadn't seen us win, and he'd been so supportive to me that it was a fantastic scalp. And when you've got Solanke and Dan Zuma and Billing and people like that in their squad, never mind in their team, Jack Wilshere, and they really came with a winning plan. They wanted to win. They're in the playoffs. It was brilliant to see my boys perform the way they did against probably the biggest budget in the league by far. And but at the end of the game, I almost said to Rob, that's for you, Rob. You've worked so hard for us, and I know it's the second last game. That one's for you. And he was really complimentary of the team and the way we're doing things, and his support to this day has still been phenomenal, even with the relegation on our CVs. Yeah, that was a special moment and set up the last game fantastically well, didn't it?
It really did. The New Orleans duo going up to Middlesbrough looking absolutely frozen. I think Rob's sitting there in a blanket, but still with absolutely huge grins on their faces after a 3-0 win.
Yeah, and I don't mention Pete because he's part of the furniture here. He's stayed here, and the sacrifices he's made, living away from his family for almost 2 years now. Don't know if I could do it. He's just been absolutely brilliant, and his voice is heard from the stand. I think one thing that the fans haven't been here is that you can hear Pete's voice. He's so behind the team, and we're very similar. We grew up the same. We almost had the same lives growing up with football and music, and we have a real kindred spirit. So Pete's just Pete. He's there, and I'll forever be thankful for him being here, because he's been an absolute legend of a co-owner with Rob. And it was a nervy game. Obviously, we knew there was other things elsewhere that had to happen. We knew that 13-0 would have kept us up if things had gone the right way. Ironically, it wouldn't have now, but even then I said to the boys, you never know what might happen, even though deep down I knew that 13-0 is probably the record scoring that ever in the Football League, and it's never going to happen. But we had it going on, and I think again, to deliver for the Couhigs, for the fans, the way we did, I thought was outstanding, and what a nervy game for the other teams at the end of the season. We pulled ourselves above them, above Sheffield Wednesday, 1 point behind Derby. Just outstanding, from the boys who really dug deep and really come good at the right time. One more game and I think we'd have done it. We knew it was only 46. We always said we'll be where we deserve to be, and unfortunately that's just coming up short. But for some reason this doesn't feel like a relegation to me. It feels like this is an extension for next season and what we're going to do, and we're going to carry on what we're doing, and it's been a brilliant year, really has, and it's crazy to say because we have finished below that line, but I've enjoyed every minute, and I just wish with all my heart that the fans could have come along this journey with me, because I know what round of applause we'd have got at Middlesbrough away from those guys, and believe me, you've been missed. I'll never ever take you for granted.
Do you have a couple of those sort of sliding doors moments, particularly with regards to the two Derby games, where you might look back on it and think, well, I think we hit the bar in the dying moments at Pride Park, and obviously we gave the free kick away here at Adams Park?
Yeah, Gareth McCleary hit the crossbar, didn't he, from distance. People might not remember, but Daryl Hogan scored a perfectly legitimate goal at home. And if people want to check back on this, he's 5 yards onside. We questioned this after and with the referees, and they always come back to you and they said, yeah, we made a mistake there, you should have had that goal. Maybe my sliding door moment where I could get that linesman looking at the right place at the right time and ruling Daryl rightly onside. It's not close, it was 5 yards. It was a quick free kick. I actually said to Dobbo after that game, I said, I hope that one doesn't come back to haunt us, and we'll wait and see. But it did, didn't it? It did 1 point, and that's where it comes down to, small margins like that. But for us to finish above a team like Sheffield Wednesday, and as close as we did to Derby County, these are phenomenal sides. These are big teams, and we did our best. I can always look in the mirror and say we did our best. I can't have done any more. when I make my substitutions or when I pick my team, it's never, oh, this isn't the best thing for the team, but I'll do it anyway. It's always, right, this will work because of this, because of this, because of this, because I know this will work and I have faith in my boys and they have faith in me. And do you know what? Yeah, I'm the manager. I'll take it on the chin, but I'm determined that we'll be back to this level one day, and I want that one day to be soon because I'm excited to see what next season can bring.
Still to come, we will be hearing from Gareth talking about contract negotiations and also some of the players that he might be bringing in over the summer.
It's really fantastic, isn't it? His positivity comes across completely throughout the whole interview. That must have been something that you found sort of sat with him as well.
Yes, completely. I mean, the whole season, when you speak to Gareth, he is exactly as he comes across when he's in the dugout and when he's speaking to the media. That is how he is. He's just a really, really positive and a really nice guy. And the one thing, and I know that we talked about this a bit previously in the programme, is that you do think, goodness me, I'd really love it if he was my manager.
No, definitely. Second part of our interview with Gareth coming up in part 2 of the Wycombe Wanderers show here at Wycombe Sound.
This is Wycombe Sound.
Still to come on the Wycombe Wanderers show, we will be playing some of the bits of the programme that maybe didn't quite go as Colin and I had imagined.
What do you mean? Surely they've all gone as we imagined.
Well, not all of them.
Some aspects have been completely out of our control as well.
Yeah, that's very true. And actually, I don't think there's many bits where actually things didn't go how you imagined. I think it's more me doing some of the interviews with Gareth and some of the players.
Yeah, and some of your geographical issues have been highlighted a bit as well.
Yes, absolutely. Though I don't think we've actually got any of those tonight. But yes, luckily I turned up in Blackburn, not Blackpool that time.
Final part of our chat with Gareth Ainsworth speaking to Bob.
We're at now what must be a very hard moment in the season for you, where we've had the news about players who are not keeping their contracts. I know with regards to yourself, the fact that you were let go by Blackburn on your birthday all those years ago, it must be tough to be doing the best thing as well for the team and the club.
Yeah, 30 years ago, I was told that I wasn't good enough for professional football, and that was me. And 6 years later, I think I played in the Premier League, and I'm still here now managing. I haven't had a day out of the games since then. And I was so determined to prove Don Mackay was the manager of Blackburn. But with that determination, you need also support. I had mum and dad, I had friends and family and supporting me. So what I'll say now is the players that do get released, they need support around them. Definitely, they have their friends, their families, and at the end of the day, it's only an opinion. It's only one opinion, and sometimes it's not on ability. It's just that you do it for the player. They need to go on and find somewhere else. They need a career somewhere else. And Ryan Allsop's been a fantastic servant to this club. I wouldn't be in the Championship without him, and wouldn't have had our season. Ryan picks up an injury, Stockwell comes in and just does phenomenally well, and that's football, and I think Ryan will understand that. He's been awesome. I'm sure we'll see him again, probably at a higher level than we are, because he's a fantastic keeper. And Cameron Yates, again, a really tough one. He's played a real big part in the promotion season. 2 goalkeepers there, and Cam needs to go and play, and I want him to go and play and find his feet in football. I'm sure he will, but it's always a tough day. Darius is a little bit different, and what he's going through, so your loan signings go away, and some of the younger boys that probably people don't know about, they have to go and find a way to do it themselves, and it builds resilience. But it's never a nice day. I went through it myself, and it is tough, really tough. But you also get the flip side of that, telling the ones that you want to keep and you believe there's some potential there at Wycombe Wanderers, So yeah, it's never personal. It's always hopefully for the best, and like I say, I always do what I think's the best decision at the time, either for the person, for the club, and all managers have to do it. But I wish all the players the best who've been with us, and thank you for all your efforts. You've been fantastic, and the ones who are staying. We've got some future together that we want to try and get back to this level that we're still at the moment. I don't think the playoffs are still going, so the league's definitely not over yet, but we're still actually a Championship club until the first game of next season. When we do put on them boots again, we'll be determined to get back to this fantastic level. I'm really proud of everyone.
One of the things that Darius hinted at in his farewell message, and also one of the things that David Stockdale said to me, was just how at this club you're very much allowed to be yourself, which it is something that I think you should be allowed to be in any organisation, in any place. But the fact that they always say it with regards to Wycombe Wanderers, and you've had so many players who've been here and left and come back, what is it about this club? And it just must be as well the way that you manage, that actually you're allowing these players to express themselves and they feel so comfortable here.
But I always thought that the people who got the best out of me will just let me be me, guide me. Don't try and change me. Because I think you are what you are, and you're a footballer for a reason, and those reasons are really important. So don't try and change those reasons. Don't try and change somebody too much. Let them be them. Let them flourish as themselves, and guide them and add a few things. And that's how I manage. That's how I'll always manage. Some managers do manage out of fear, and the old-fashioned way, or shorter contracts. Definitely not for me. I'll manage as if I was at the front of the queue, and if there's any challenges to hit, I'll hit them first head on, boys. You just come with me and back me and bring what makes you you. So if it is Davy Stockdale being his flamboyant self, we need that, as well as Curtis Thompson's silent, just absolute sturdiness, and that he's there and will scrap and fight for you. He doesn't need to shout about it. So all these things, I think you can't change people, and I think you'd waste a lot of energy trying to change everyone and put them into one model. I think what makes Wycombe special is that everybody's strengths make the whole Wycombe family, and I want them to emphasise those strengths. I want them to be those people that they are, and I think that's really important. And to prove it, I am. I'm this guy. I love my rock and roll music. I want to look this way. I want to be positive all the time. Why, when we get relegated, why should I conform to what every other manager does and goes, right, I've got to put on a mood now. I've got to pretend I'm down because the board might want to see that, or the fans might want to see me upset. And no, I care. God, I care. I care so much about this club. And if it takes me to put on an act, then I'm at the wrong club. I will be me. I care about this club so much, but I care so much that I'll be super positive and trying to lift everyone all the time, and I will be me, because everyone who feels uncomfortable being themselves. Have a look at this long-hair manager in the Championship who said he wouldn't cut his hair and said he wouldn't conform to everyone else because it's important to be you, and I think that's in a paragraph there. I think I've tried to sum up what we are at Wycombe. Everyone brings their part of the jigsaw, and it's a fantastic jigsaw when it's completed, and we're building it currently, and I'm hoping we'll get it finished definitely by the end of next season to start a new one in the Championship again.
It does make me think that there must be gay footballers out there, how at home they would feel actually at Wycombe Wanderers, and one day it's going to happen. It will be great to happen here. You can talk about all the groups and everybody will be included at Wycombe Wanderers, and I'm sure they will at all football clubs. If it's easier here, then brilliant. But you know what? The day I say I've cracked it is the day that I will fall flat on my face in a big way. I'm learning all the time. I'll just try and do it my way, and if that's good, then brilliant. And if it's bad, then I try to do it my way. If it's a fault, then sorry, it's a fault. But I will judge everyone on football and people they are, and nothing will change my mind on that. It's so important, and the modern world we live in, it's so important to be you. And at Wycombe, you can definitely be you. And I think you see that as well with the part that religion plays so much with so many of the players as well.
Yeah, we have a real group, a faithful group, and again, in some walks of life, in some organisations, somewhere, that might be frowned upon, that they might not feel comfortable doing it. Boys, if you believe and you want that enough, then you go and do what you need to do. I've got my own faith, and everyone else has got their own beliefs, but nobody ever at Wycombe Wanderers will ever go at anyone for anything else. That's my job, and that seldom happens as well. I just love everyone being comfortable and giving their best, because it's my job to make sure that best is good enough for this football club, and so far so good. It's been great.
One of the things as well that you're fantastic about in the local community is supporting some of the organisations, in particular the Wycombe Homeless Connection and the One Can Trust as well this year.
Yeah, and if I'm honest, my time has been so busy that I wish I could have dedicated a little bit more to that. I put my name to it because I think they're fantastic organisations, and I'll vouch to come down and make a difference personally when the COVID stuff is finished and when everything is normal again. It's great to have the name and it looks good, and Gareth Ainsworth's doing this, but I want to get down there and see some of the people who work really hard and the real members of that team and those teams. But it's really important that we look after our homeless people and our people who are obviously less fortunate sometimes. There's always people less fortunate, and And I think we've got to look out for him. Puts things in perspective, keeps things in perspective, and it's important. And if every football club looks after their area, we definitely have a better standard in the whole country. And they all do. The football clubs all do. They all look after their own area, and we try on that way as well. So, yep. Hopefully I'll get down there on the shop floor, as they say, to really help out and make a mark. But if anyone has any time or help for these organisations, I think they're brilliant organisations, and proud to be a part of them.
So we're nearly at the summer now. I know that football managers always, are forever on the job, as it were. What are you doing this summer to just take a bit of time away and relax?
The phone will be taking the most of the work, because the agents now calls and players will call, and there's some new rules coming in this year with squad sizes and things. So I think there's going to be a lot of players scrambling. It's like a huge game of poker, Bob. You've got a card there on the table. It might not be the top card, but it's a decent card. And do you take that card for your pack, or do you think another one's going to come along, and if it doesn't, do you miss that card and you can't find one as good as that? And it is a real gamble at the moment. And also, we're not first to pick that card as well often, so we've got to make sure that we get it right. Like I say, I think I'm happy to say about 10 to 1, maybe 8 to 1 my signings have been good to bad, and I intend to make not many, only a handful, probably a single handful, and give you some indication of how many players I'm looking for. But they've got to be quality, they've got to be above the level. Rob Couhig said he wants a championship club no matter what level we're playing at. He's working hard on the infrastructure, on the stadium and the training ground, and I've got to work hard on the squad to make sure that squad's good enough to compete at the top end of League One, and maybe one day get back to this championship. So names are there. Some might be familiar, some might have been seen already in Wycombe shirts, but there's one or two haven't, definitely, and will be fantastic signings for us. But again, this big game of poker that lasts for about 4 months is just started, and we've just been dealt our hands. So I'll keep you up to date with that, and I'm sure that many people will be watching closely. But
so it doesn't sound like you get much time either to have a holiday or play with the Cold-Blooded Hearts or even walk the dog.
Listen, I was in the studio today, so I can't grumble. I was doing some singing today. We've got the album coming out at the end of the year, which will be absolutely brilliant. I can't wait for that. The dog gets walked every day without a doubt. The only thing is the phone's always there, and you have to, as a manager, you've got to be accessible, whether it's your players, your staff, future players, agents, whatever. Holiday time, I consider myself a really lucky man to have the job I've got. I really do. Sometimes, and I don't know how my bosses will take this, sometimes I feel like I'm in a dream job and I'm on holiday all the time, because who wouldn't want to go in and manage a football team or play football or be around positive people, and it's phenomenal. So family's really important, obviously, the children, Donna, and really important, but I don't need to go and lie on a beach somewhere. Not right now. I've got a big smile on my face after a relegation. It's crazy, but I love this place, and I can't wait to get stuck into next year. But I will definitely have some time away, because there are other things in my life, and football isn't everything. But I think that's what makes us all grounded here, and look forward to the next season.
I can vouch for the big smile, by the way. The good news is that it definitely sounds like you're hanging around. Obviously, the Preston job has been filled as well. But is there a sort of managerial career path? Because if I was you, I would be very much thinking, well, yeah, love it at Wycombe Wanderers, but maybe one day I want to manage QPR, I want to manage Blackburn Rovers.
Do you know what? Honestly, there isn't a path. I'm a believer in I make the path a few steps in front of me, not miles in front of me. And you never know what's going to happen in the next few steps. And that's genuine, People said to me, you've been at Wycombe 10 years now, it's time to move on. I'll just say one word to them. Why? You give me a valid reason why it's time to move on, and I will go. But so far, there isn't a valid reason. Money's not everything. Status isn't everything. And the league you managing isn't everything. I'm so lucky that I think I've worked out what's really important to me is emotions and people. And I get my fair share at Wycombe with that, definitely. I've worked with some brilliant people, some fantastic people. And the emotions, they're brilliant. They're brilliant. We've talked about these games we have. We've talked about how tough it can be and how good it can be. So why do you have to move on? Just because other managers do it, or just because that's what's seen as the right thing to do? You're talking to the guy who doesn't do the right thing sometimes. He doesn't do what's seen right to do. So really happy. Keep asking questions. I'll keep saying why.
And finally, a message for the fans. We know how much you want them back, and fingers crossed that might happen in August.
I've missed them so much, believe me. I've missed them so much, and even more so, we've lost some as well in the couple of years when we haven't had fans, or the 18 months, and that's been hard to take. No more recent than Teresa Slevin, who's an absolute fantastic fan from day one. When I signed at this football club, she was around the players' entrance every game, and one moment stands out to me where I think Matt Bloomfield was getting a bit of stick on social media, and she said to me, "Give a message to Matt, will you? Tell him not to worry about anything." And I said, "Teresa, I've told him that, but thank you. We're all together in this." But she was so concerned and so wanted to get that message to Matt that she'd waited at the tunnel to tell me that, and just to make one of her heroes feel better. And people like that are absolute diamonds, and she's going to be absolutely sorely missed. But she saw Wycombe in the Championship, she saw us winning the Championship, and we were a Championship club, and I'm so proud to have gifted that to her. But not just Teresa, a lot of people, and the ex-players as well that we've lost over the years. So it's been tough, it really has been tough, and I can't wait for the fans to come back, because it feels like the norm for them, and it feels like that meaning that they've got every Saturday, that togetherness that they have, and this fantastic football club that has brought pleasure to so many people and togetherness. And we've missed you, and I've missed you, because I know you'd have got me them extra points that we needed to stay in this Championship. But believe me, next time we're here, I know you'll get them for me.
Fantastic, Gareth. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.
This is Wycombe Sound.
A huge thank you to Gareth Ainsworth for giving us so much time on the Wycombe Wanderers show. Brilliant to hear from the Wycombe Wanderers manager, in particular about his future. That sounds quite positive that he's thinking of staying with the Chairboys.
It is really encouraging, and I think it's what every fan sort of wants to hear as well, because I think we've mentioned a few times, haven't we, that he's favourite to be linked with other jobs, and it's so reassuring to actually hear from him himself, just to say, why would I go elsewhere?
Yeah, exactly that. That question where he said, why would I go elsewhere? He clearly is very happy, and so fingers crossed, yes, that he does stay. But yes, thank you to him, and thank you to Matt Cecil as well for organising that, and so many of the interviews that we have done during the season.
No, we've been so lucky on the show to speak to people. Actually, yes, now might be a good time to do some thank yous.
We can do the thank yous now, yes, definitely, because it's not only Matt, obviously, the Ex-Players Association have been invaluable with providing us with so much content this year.
No, definitely thanks to Alan Hutchison and JDT as well. It's just been fantastic to speak to so many different former players from different eras, and obviously Martin O'Neill, obviously to get to speak to him was a real highlight, and some of the other managers as well, and David Jones, the physio, was brilliant as well. So yeah, really looking forward to next season speaking to more ex-players. We must say a big thank you to producer Luke, who has been also invaluable
he really has
in sort of the image of the show, how it sounds, all the social media stuff.
Thank you as well to Phil Catchpole for allowing us to play out some of his Ringing the Blues. And if you are looking for a Wycombe Wanderers podcast, that is another one that we would highly recommend. And thank you also to Wycombe Wanderers women, as we must now call them, because they have joined us quite a lot as well during what was a very curtailed season for them.
No, brilliant. Really glad to chat to Dave Ward, Charlotte the captain, Alicia as well, who we've had on, and other people as well who've contributed. Tom Hancock, of course, we had his stats, brilliant insight for him. We spoke to Will the chef.
We did,
quite briefly.
Emily as well from the club. Thank you to both of them.
Yes, and we're looking forward to many more guests next season as well, and also bringing you some new features. We've been working on the ideas, haven't we?
We have, yes. But we'll keep those quiet for now.
Absolutely.
We'll just tease them slightly. However, that then brings us on to some of the bits that maybe didn't go quite as we had necessarily planned, whether that was us or whether that was the players being interviewed, or even our fellow colleagues from the media doing the interviews that we were also attending.
Because it's there's a lot of scope, isn't there, for, I won't say error, but as you say, just the unplanned to happen.
Indeed, yes. Just getting your words slightly mixed up. As Joe Jacobson discovered when Alicia was interviewing him after our 4-1 win against Preston North End in the FA Cup.
The gaffer wanted to have a cut run, and he said about winning breeds confidence, not the other way around.
Can you imagine the manager saying, breed them? Breed them, that'll win confidence.
Go on, boys. Go, I'm proud of you. Go and breed them. Yes, that wouldn't quite work. Of course, that then set up the match against Tottenham Hotspur. And so there was a lot of media interest in that particular game. And I recorded the press conference beforehand that Gareth did with so many people in the media. And one particular person who made a little bit of an error during that press conference was Moose from TalkSport.
On the other hand, the same people are saying, oh, he doesn't look like a manager manager. Or
Does that bother you at all? I mean, I think it's great when you walk out in a leather jacket and it looks like John Bon Jovi. You know what I mean? It looks like the lead singer of Def Leppard.
Def Leppard's lead singer is called Joe Elliott for a start. And why can't you say John Bon Jovi?
It was quite early in the morning, to be fair to Moose. Gareth wasn't the only one that he had quite an entertaining interview with. He slightly upset David Stockdale, and this was one of the examples where definitely the elements were not particularly kind during the interview.
This is going to sound incredibly negative, but I know you as a person. I've known you for a long time. Realistically, Wycombe are going to go down unless they pull off some sort of amazing great escape. So when you're going into these games now, obviously it's not with the mindset we're going to lose or we're going to go down, but it's a half of it, the mindset. Let's finish this season really well so that we can start next season really well.
Realistically, I'd like you to come in the changing room and say what you just said, because you might not get a live, because I don't care until it says the R and the red bar across it.
That's why I asked you rather than have that debate back in February.
Because you might not got away from him.
So, there's so many aspects to talk about.
Encouraging a hurricane towards Moose from TalkSport.
It sounded like the Space Shuttle Challenger was just lifted. Also, part of you was just going, oh, please, just go in the change room with them, please.
Oh, that would be so good. I would have loved to have seen that. And particularly also, had we just managed to stay up, that it would be even better to then be able to play that back to him and say, well, what do you say now, Moose?
It was impressive they could stay up in that wind.
It was very impressive, wasn't it? Let's move to the game against Huddersfield now, where, of course, we won 3-2. And Huddersfield's definitely a place where they like their lawnmowers, shall we say. And Uchi as well. He's very honest, is our Uch.
Did you guys always believe that you could get the win?
Yeah, of course. Listen, I'm not going to lie, man. I hate losing. And so does the team. And everyone's been burning just to win a game. And it's been tough. I can't lie. I care so much. And it hurts me to lose. So, listen, it's a great win. I'm not going to lie, but we've got work to do.
Lying is not good in these sort of situations.
He's been brought up very well, hasn't he? I'm sure not only Gareth, but his mum's very proud of him as well.
The lawns are exemplary in Huddersfield, though.
They really are. It's very impressive. Lawns isn't the only thing that we've had to contend with this season, as Ryan Tafazoli found out in one of the post-match interviews that he took part in.
There's been so many games where we've been a better team, but I just said then, you've always got a chance if you can attack the ball and pick up the flight early. He's going to put it on the money, and that's what he did tonight.
I think we should use some of those expressions more often.
I've no idea what was going on behind him during that one. And Gareth also has fallen victim to a few strange bangs and crashes in his time.
But there's so many teams who would swap places right now with Wycombe Wanderers. To have 6 games to survive in the Championship, wow, what an exciting encounter this is going to be for the rest of the season. And I preach that to the boys. Stay humble, stay human, because you never get anything. You earn everything you have to, and they've earned it.
And stay sheltered from the wind is another tip as well.
Indeed. He sounds like he's on some sort of oil rig or something.
Yes, or building site.
Yes. And talking of building sites, this, I think, is probably your favourite clip from the year.
Released by Norwich, you've got to give credit to Bob Rickwood and Sam Grace, who put the B team together. They saw Anish, they brought him in on trial. He shone. Oh, there's the stadium falling apart. Oh, we're okay.
He says, don't worry, we're okay.
I still maintain it was because he couldn't really see what was going on, so I was aware that something was about to fall over, and it was a bit of a surprise
could see it coming.
Him. So he was he sort of like flinched as it happened. Yeah, there were a fair few people behind him like that. I also took part in a press conference with him as well, where he suffered from a slight dry throat. How's Joe Jacobson doing? Obviously, he came off in the first half during the game against Spurs.
Yeah, we're still in the assessment stage of Joe. Excuse me. So he's really hoping to play. He's hoping to be involved. Whether the medical team can get him round, I don't know. Sorry, I got frog in my
That's all right, don't worry. I'll edit that bit out. We're not live.
No, don't worry about that.
It's nice that you said don't worry about that, because we clearly haven't.
No, exactly. I was actually thinking, we'll save this bit for the last show and play it back. Gareth has also been auditioning to be in a McDonald's advert as well, I do believe.
I'm loving it. I wake up every morning, lucky man, manager of a football club in the Championship. I'm loving it.
No, only 99p.
And he's also got quite good at whooping as well during the interviews.
Proud, really proud. Always will be. They'll never get me down. You know that. So let's go again Saturday. Woo!
We could use that in so many other different ways as well.
Exactly, that was such a good one. He's also, as we know, always proud of the lads, but not only the lads, actually, he's proud of absolutely everybody who's ever worked at Adams Park, which actually probably includes you as well, Colin, and also the caterers.
Everyone who's supported us, played for us, managed any part of the business or anything, served a cup of tea, you've all played your part in this club.
Done the ground announcing for 2 seasons in the late 90s.
Yeah, there you go. Did you ever make a cup of tea while you were there doing the ground announcing?
No, I never saw any tea, to be honest.
Oh, did you not? Oh, dear, oh, dear. Maybe he could have joined Gary Waddock. Now, Gary was one of the ex-managers that we interviewed this season, and we were very impressed with the fact that as we all know, a lot of us say the word but Gary went above and beyond with his during the interview.
Gareth came in as well. They knew, that, he's been in charge for, since I departed the club.
It's not very often that you get a double,
No.
No, I thought that was very impressive. And finally, we can hear from Pete Couhig about the club being chosen as one of the vaccination sites and a suggestion that he made that unfortunately didn't get approved. It obviously is, a very prominent reminder that you're there at a time when obviously there's not many people coming to the stadium.
Yes, it is. We've kind of joked. We wish we could make everybody leave through the shop, but we asked, and that's not allowed.
You can imagine it, though, can't you?
Exactly.
This way.
He's completely. Isn't that just the sign of a really good sort of like marketing and sales guy? At every theme park or every child's attraction that you ever go to, you always make them leave through the shop, and Pete's completely on board with that.
No, definitely. It's been such a fun show to do. Have you got a particular sort of standout, moment, either on the show or from a game you've been at, or just something that really kind of stands out for the whole season?
I think, to be honest, it's just having spoken to Gareth Ainsworth so much during the season and just got to know him, and just he's completely gone above and beyond what I thought before I started this show. I always thought how lucky we were to have him at the club. I always thought how well he came across. I always thought he seemed like somebody that definitely, if I was a footballer or in any walk of life, that that I would want to play for. And having spoken to him now for the whole season and been very, very lucky to obviously spend quite a bit of time with him, I can say that he is all of that and absolutely more. He is just a fantastic top human being. He really is as positive as that. So that has been my sort of like long highlight of the season, if you were.
And also, something which we missed out in our thank yous a little earlier on is a massive thank you to you, because obviously it wouldn't be much of a show without just me, but also it wouldn't be much of a show without someone who's been to the games, has watched the games, and literally been to the games, especially during this time, and the away games as well, not just the home games, but especially even when we remember as far back as you did that piece when you had to go through all the COVID tests and fill out the questionnaire and were approaching the steward, and we had that little bit in your car with talking about getting you checked in and everything, and it must have been great for you as well to have been to so many grounds that it's strange to imagine we'd come out even.
I realise that I am so very lucky. I certainly wasn't doing it for the thanks or anything like that. I've been so fortunate this season to have actually got to see football live. Of course, it's not quite the same as we have seen through the games that have been played over the last few days, the FA Cup final and the Premier League games last night and on Tuesday. It makes such an enormous difference when there are fans there. But even so, I have been very, very lucky this season to have watched some fantastic football. And, one game that completely stands out above all others actually is the most recent one. And I don't say that just because it was the most recent one, but, the 3-0 win over Middlesbrough. I really did go along to that with very low expectations, thinking Middlesbrough played so well against us earlier on in the season. And just thinking, I can't really see this happening today. I never imagined that we would be coming away having played Neil Warnock, having played played at a stadium that, would definitely hold its own in the Premier League as 3-0 winners. Absolutely marvellous.
And fantastic as well, so many different stories of players. I remember earlier in the season you saying about Ryan Alsop being, a contender for player of the season, and obviously David Stockdale, what he's achieved since.
Yeah, I mean, just, that is incredible, really. And very sad. And as we heard from Gareth during the interview, clearly he was very sad to have to let Ryan Alsop go, completely admitted that actually, if it wasn't for Ryan Alsop, we wouldn't be in the Championship. We wouldn't have had our Championship season. David Stockdale, to give him credit, came in and did what you have to do when you get given a chance. And that was, played absolutely out of his skin and just was phenomenal. It was interesting what Gareth was saying, that actually, sometimes you're also looking to do what's best for the player. And I think he very much realises that he has got two goalkeepers there that could quite easily walk into the number one position in any club. And so, Gareth has in some ways done the very kind thing and said to Ryan Alsop, right, okay, go and find another club. And as he admitted during the interview, he wouldn't be at all surprised if actually that's at a higher level than we're playing next season.
And in a way, it seems a shame to sort of pick out individual players without mentioning the whole team, but people like Anis Mehmeti who've really, really sort of shone this season as well.
Yeah, I mean, Anis has been absolutely incredible. Just such a good story as well. Clearly joined really playing for the B team, and has just become one of those players that you can rely on. Just does some incredible things. It's going to be an enormous amount of fun, I would think, watching him in League One next season. But also, as Gareth will always say as well, just remembering the players that actually have been with him for such a long time and that were with us in League Two. Joe Jacobson, in particular, a player who possibly his pace was questioned, whether he could cope with life in the Championship, and I think he's more than held his own.
And in a way, obviously, it's a shame to have finished with relegation, and to not want to sound like some sort of X Factor commentator, but it has been such a journey.
It has been an enormously, a fantastic, entertaining journey. Who would have thought, sort of, particularly after the 7 games, where we hadn't won, hadn't even drawn, that actually we would have managed to have had so much fun and got so much joy and pleasure out of the season. But there are so many moments, Bayo scoring a Championship goal, absolutely phenomenal. Winning away at Huddersfield 3-2 when we were 2-0 down. So many occasions that you can look back on, and there's not that many teams, I think, that that can have relegation seasons and actually still look back on the majority of it and think, actually, that was a lot of fun.
I must say a massive thank you to you for listening as well. We've been really encouraged by the feedback that we've had from the shows. We've really enjoyed bringing them to you, and looking forward to a new season in the summer.
And I must say thank you to you as well, Colin, because, again, I couldn't have done it without you. It would have sounded a bit strange, me just chatting away to myself. So thank you very much for all of the production side that you have done. You've been there every week driving the desk and keeping the show going when I've been broadcasting here from home. So really appreciate that. And looking forward to doing it all again next season in League One.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.